Alright, so we're going to talk about substitution again. So I wanted to give you guys a few more examples about substitution. We can see here that, let me get my pen working. You can see how each of these has a y equals. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this 5x minus 8 and plug it in for that y in the second equation. So you're going to have 3x minus 8 equals 4 minus x. From here I'm going to go and solve. So I'm going to bring this x that's on the right hand side over to the left hand side. So now we've got 4x minus 8 equals 4. I'm going to add 8 to each side. And you've got 4x equals 12. Again, we're just solving for x so that way we can eventually solve for y. So first I get x equals 3. So now I am not done, and usually I ask you guys, alright, what's my next step? If I've solved for x, what do I do next? Well, now we're going to solve for y. So we need to take one of these two equations. It does not matter which equation you use. You can use first one, second one, whatever your preference is. For me, I'm going to use the second one because it's a little easier to solve. Because I'm just replacing x with 3, it's going to be y equals 4 minus 3. So y in this case is going to equal 1. So my solution set is 3, 1. So now we're going to just look at another one. And again, always if you want to go back to something, just fast forward, rewind, as well as pausing, just so you can write some things down if I'm going a little too fast. So in this case, in the second equation that we're going to look at, we've got 2x minus 7y equals 3, and then x equals 1 minus 4y. In this particular equation, we're still going to use substitution. So we've got this 1 minus 4y. We're going to replace that with this x in the first equation. So we're going to go 2 times 1 minus 4y minus 7y equals 3. Then we're going to use the distributive property to multiply each of these terms inside the parentheses by 2. So we're going to have 2 minus 8y minus 7y equals 3. Right? So just going back, we just plugged in 1 minus 4y into that x. We then distributed everything out. Okay. So if everything looks like I watched my signs, I'm going to go through, I'm going to combine my like terms. So negative 8y minus 7y, that is negative 15y equals 3. So my next step is to subtract 2 from each side. So I get negative 15y equals negative, well, this would be negative 1, right? So let me just erase this a little bit. So this is going to be just positive 1. Okay. We're going to go back in here. We're going to have divide each side by negative 15. And you get y equals negative 1/15. Right. This probably isn't the cleanest answer that we would want. We like to see whole numbers, but sometimes it's just not going to be whole numbers. Okay. So then what we're going to do next is we're going to go back in and solve for x. So we've got x equals 1 minus 4y. I'm going to take my y that we just found. We're going to go 1 minus 4 times negative 1/15. We then have to multiply these two numbers. Right? So we have a negative times a negative. That in this case is going to be a positive. And we got 4/15. We add them together, we got 1 and 4/15. Okay, so that's my x. So my ordered pair is going to be 1 and 4/15, comma, negative 1/15. Alright. I got one more and then this video will be all set. So this one, a little different from the last two. They're both in standard form. So I'm going to have to solve for x if I want to use substitution in this case. So I'm going to take this second equation and rewrite it. I'm then going to 3y. And I know you guys are very used to just solving for y all the time, but I'm going to solve for x this time. So I'm going to have x equals 3y plus 1. So this portion over here, this 3y plus 1, is what I'm going to replace x with in the first equation. So I'm going to have 3 times 3y plus 1 minus 5y equals 11. I'm going to distribute that 3 again. So I get 9y plus 3 minus 5y equals 11. Combining like terms, watching my signs, paying close attention to the fact that 5y is negative. So I'm going to combine them to be 4y plus 3 equals 11. I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. So I'll get 4y equals 8. Divide each side by 4. So we'll get y equals 2. So now I've got this y equals 2. You can go in and plug in that y into the equation we solved for x, or either of the original equations. I'm going to choose this x equals 3y plus 1. So I'm going to go x equals 3 times 2 plus 1. So I'm going to have 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So my x is going to equal 7. So my ordered pair is 7, 2. Alright, this concludes this video.